Okay, it's 6:03. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining. We have just started with sharing a link. While you are able to access the chat and going into menti.com to provide your inputs, let me formally welcome you all to an exciting episode of live webinar, which is from PMIPCC Hyderabad. I formally welcome you all. It's a great opportunity for me to host the session. I will be facilitator. Let me share my screen and hope you are able to see my screen. This live webinar is going to be presented by Mr. Venkat Reddy Chirala. Venkat has been the ex-president of PMIPCC. And he has been, obviously, he will introduce himself, but I will take this opportunity to say thank you from PMI on behalf of PMI PCC that he has been volunteered to take out some time and explain about the topic, which is very close to all of us. And I think he has been as a pioneer into there. So I think he can do a great justice to the topic. Without losing much of your time, and I think we can directly go to Venkat's topic. Venkat, hope it is fine.
Sure, Sanket. So hope all of you can hear me clear. Can all of you see me? I'm not able to see my video as well.
Yeah, just give me a second. I will try to go back to. Yes, I can see you and hear you well.
Okay. So because I
Can
can't
the
see
audience can give a thumbs up?
Yeah, we can see and hear clearly. Yeah.
Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, everyone. Before Venkat starts in, I would request everyone to please stay muted. And if you have a question, we will have a question and answer session. Please put your questions in the chat box. Otherwise, we can cover and have a dedicated session for question and answers. Hope that is fine for everyone. I will stop sharing my screen and Venkat, over to you.
Perfect, Sanket. Yeah, thank you. So let me start sharing my screen now. Okay, so before going on to the session, so let me quickly introduce myself. It's always, I think, Sanket mentioned a couple of points. It's always a pleasure to be here back after, I would say, 1 year, more than a year, I guess. Last year, if I remember correctly, I did something, Agile Series 2. Okay. So it's always a pleasure to be speaking to all of you at PMIPCC, especially in this Agile Series session, where I can share my experience and knowledge with all of you. And I've been in the industry for more than 20 plus years in various roles. And started as a developer and worked on important roles, like especially for this context as a transformation leader and project manager and agile coach as well. In my experience, currently I'm working as an agile on the business consulting side as an agile transformation coach with Infosys Consulting, and also working on a lean transformation for one of the LCS certified organization currently. So that's I'm a LCS certified coach. LCS is the Lean Center of Excellence. That's basically Lean competency system, like an external body, like we have. Some of you may not be aware of it. So it's an external body, provides certifications on Lean. So I'm an LCS certified coach and a lot of other certifications as well. So definitely it's worth discussing with all of you today about this important topic that is very contextualized to the current challenges we are facing and the current environment, current projects we work on. Okay, so that's pretty much about myself. If some of you not answered the survey, I see only some couple of responses here. If you could, I'm just sharing my screen. Hope all of you can see this. So you can go to Menti, the link provided in the chat window. and share some of the responses for these 3 questions. What is your level of experience with agile methodologies? What is your level of experience with lean? And what comes to your mind when we talk about lean? Quickly. So the link is in the chat window, or you can directly go to menti.com and type this Menti code 64013037. Just trying to understand the participant profile, especially in terms of agile and also lean. Okay. So when I say lean methodologies, it could be any, like you would have worked on Six Sigma, Kanban kind of methodologies. Novice is also fine. So definitely this session also start from some of the basics as well, where you can understand right from the basics as well. So there's no right or wrong answer. You just so this is the second question. What is your level of experience with agile methodologies? And there is one last question. What comes to your mind when you think of lean, especially because that's the crux of the topic today? Just type any words there. Okay, eliminate waste, simpler and stronger, removal of wastage. Perfect. Just enough. Okay. Very good. Value. Perfect. I think great answers. Great answers again. Now, let me go back to the deck. Okay. So quickly, I think we'll discuss about the answers that we provided in the Menti questions. So quickly about for the next 50 minutes, the agenda for today. So we are going to talk about introduction to lean and introduction to the topic. That's the topic itself is worth discussing. And also we'll start from the basics. Why lean agile? What is lean? And we'll see a bit of history about lean agile, how it evolved over the time. And then we discuss about why lean agile. This is, I think, important topic that we should definitely spend some time. It's about 20 minutes is what I bucketed here, but based on how it's go, we can spend maybe some more time. And lean agile, how effectively we can integrate lean and agile integration. So this we talk about some of the best practices we have implemented successfully in our organizations that I worked. So I'll share my experiences. Definitely, this is not the complete list. There are many ways we can integrate lean and agile, but I'll suggest some of the efficient ways I have seen so far in my experience. Then we can discuss about that. And of course, open flow. So I'll let all of you, I think we have about 30 plus people in this call.
Hello.
Venkat, are you there?
Looks like he got dropped off. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
have to just
let's
wait.
give us some few minutes. I will check with him. I'm pausing the recording as well. But
Okay, okay. So I'm sorry for that. So it's basically we are talking about the topic here. So we are in the first slide talking about waste to value. Okay, so when we talk about, I think all of you also listed some terms in the Menti question, right? So that's absolutely right. So when we talk about lean, we talk about reducing waste and concentrating more on delivering value or maximizing value. That is what waste to value sounds. No, the importance of when we say waste to value. So we always look at, especially in lean, we'll try to reduce the waste so that teams can concentrate on delivering what matters the most, that is maximizing value. And then we have effective integration of lean and agile. Integrating lean's efficiency with the agile, all of you know, I think I assume that all of you understand about agile and the philosophy. I'm not going deep dive into agile today, but more in terms of understanding lean and how we can integrate with agile, not the other way around. Okay, so you understand Agile majorly for the rapid delivery. We talk about customer at the center, right? So integrating the lean's efficiency with the Agile's adaptability allows organizations to respond faster and more effectively to changes. Okay, so without sacrificing on resource optimization. So that's exactly the effective integration of lean and Agile. So, and we are also talking about maximizing impact. So obviously, the goal of combining lean and agile here is not just to create an efficient and responsive system, but also achieve more impactful outcomes. Okay, that is what when we talk about agile and lean, we look at more impactful outcomes, whether it could be better products, improving customer satisfaction, or driving new ideas and innovation. Okay, so in essence, actually, today we are going to discuss about by integrating lean and agile, how organizations can transform waste into value and how they can enhance productivity and also maximize the positive impact of their effort. Okay, so there are many organizations have tried this. Okay, so I can simply dash some statements here that many organizations claim they are lean agile, but if you understand the ground reality, they are not. Okay, and similarly, many frameworks and toolkits, including the popular, I don't want to name any specific frameworks here, many frameworks and toolkits claim they are lean agile, but they are really not. Okay, so many individuals claim they are lean agile. This applies to me as well as lean agile experts, but they are not. So basically, once you understand the crux of lean and know how exactly it's being implemented. So obviously, see, when we're talking about lean agile implementation, it's not only optimizing and completely reducing waste and improving efficiency, both should happen in tandem. So that's how we need to look at when we talk about lean and agile. Okay, so in order to understand the crux about lean and agile, let's try to look at history. So we need to understand the reason I'm bringing this slide is about, because the history tells many things. As all of you know, lean is not new. Okay, lean have its origin in manufacturing, but over the years it has evolved from its manufacturing roots to become a more versatile and widely adopted approach across various industries for improving efficiency, quality, and customer satisfaction. Okay, so a brief history if you look at. So sorry for the small font here, but if you look at a brief bit of history about lean here, okay, lean started way back more than a decade back. So it started in 1916. Okay, so Ford is the first person to truly integrate an entire production process. First person actually to truly integrate the entire production process was Henry Ford. Okay, so This was around 1913, so well before the lean was invented. Okay, and he focused on standardization and flow production, known as moving assembly line. Some of you would have heard, and there are good number of videos also in YouTube you can watch on this. Very good videos. So this process broke down the production of automobiles into smaller, repetitive tasks that workers could perform more efficiently. And also there is a specialized labor and time and motion study. So the first time actually in an automobile factory, some of you from manufacturing industry, you will understand the assembly line was created, okay, where the specialized labor and time and motion studies and some of the techniques he implemented at that time while designing this Model T car. If you can browse through this car, and this is the initial car that was done in a very quick, higher turnaround as per that market at that time at the Highland Park factory in US. Okay, so the improvements he has done during that time were astonishing actually. So it took 11 hours initially to assemble the car, but at the end it took only 93 minutes after all these improvements he has done. So another major breakthrough for after several years is, again, this is where we talked about, and when we generally talk about lean history, this is, I think you would have heard, most of you also would have heard about Toyota production system. Okay, so any of you heard about it? Any key terms that any of you can recall from Toyota production system? Any of
Value
you?
stream mapping.
Perfect. Value stream mapping, that's a good one. What else? Six Sigma. Okay. Kanban, Sharinda. Perfect. That's correct. I think we have no thanks to Leela and so Shubhashish, Lean, and Sharinder Kanban as well. Yeah, thanks for that. So Lean principles as we see today, it actually took shape during this time in mid 20th century, right? At Toyota Motor Corporation. And when they actually faced with the resource constraints at Toyota factory, and when they have to compete with obviously the American automakers, so this factory is in Japan, right? We are talking about. So Toyota developed actually this TPS model. So when they actually, this is led by a few gentlemen, Taiichi Ono, Shigeo Shingo, and Aizi Toyoda. These are the names actually. If you can, I have just listed the names here for your benefit. So some of the key concepts as listed in the slide that at time we are going to talk about that in a while, just in time. Okay, Jidoka and Kaizen. No, okay. So when we talk about continuous improvement day in, day out nowadays in corporate circles, right? So this is what exactly is invented or came up with this idea of continuous improvement just in time. And this is a bit of deviation from what Ford started with, and definitely, but Ford is the baseline. That's why we go back to 1913 when we talk about lean. Okay, so at this time, Agile doesn't exist at all, and all of you know when Agile actually started way back. We're going to talk about that also in 2001, right? So the next one is 1990 lean thinking. So this is when the terms lean and lean thinking were popularized. There is a very good book, actually, the Machine That Changed the World by not sure how many of you heard about it. James P. Womack is the other, and Daniel Rose as well. So they elaborated the lean principles that we are going to talk about it. They came up with a book called Lean Thinking also, how lean can be used beyond manufacturing. So it was, the roots were actually done in 1990 itself. 2001, as I don't have to explain this, I think many of you would have, and it would have been discussed in various other sessions as well, right? So the Agile Manifesto movement, we have our 17 gentlemen met at a resort and came up with a a completely unconventional software development process. They changed the complete paradigm shift, I would say. So till that time, now everybody thinks that we have whether it is documentation, planning, there is a fixed methodologies being followed. So, but the complete paradigm shift happened way back in 2001. Okay, so they emphasized on customer collaboration, how actively you respond to change. What we're talking about working software and all that, right? So some of these in 2001 agile principles and the manifesto, if you look at the 12 principles and the 4 values that you look at, some of the key concepts actually aligns with even lean concepts that we discussed. Okay, so the waste reduction, optimizing value. So obviously optimizing value is in terms of client terms. So all this is very much in sync with lean. Okay. So again, if you run through the history, and 2003 is when the lean software development and DevOps. Okay, so this is where lean software development and agile toolkit book was published by Mary and Tom Pappendick. Okay, so this is the timeline actually. And this approach reinforced agile principles and also highlighted the compatibility between lean and agile. See, initial days, lean versus agile, okay, or lean versus something else, or lean versus Kanban. So, but it is all these models, all these methodologies. If you look at where lean, I would say, is the father of all these methodologies, where actually everything can be linked to lean. And there are a lot of I would say, compatibility between lean and agile that people realized late, and that actually became the crux of the industry now, where how effectively you can implement lean. Any latest frameworks and toolkits that you see now talks about not just agile but lean as well. So you have 2008 to 11, obviously the birth of Kanban, from manufacturing to software development, right? So Kanban is originally a scheduling system, and that now moved to software at around 2008. So the introduction of Kanban to software development actually further emphasized the importance of lean, because Kanban, if you understand the framework in depth, it actually goes in depth into the lean principles. So adaptation of lean principles to entrepreneurship and startup development. The lean startup era happened way back in 2011. Okay. And 2010 is lean and agile, with obviously growth of DevOps and continuous delivery. Lean and agile methodologies became even more connected post 2010. Okay. Both approaches, because focus on customer value and also efficient and lean provides obviously the foundation for all these agile methods. If you look at DevOps, obviously the bottom line itself is lean. Okay. And the current present context. So it's any framework you take, whether you talk about the popular frameworks like SAFe, Disciplined Agile, talks about lean, agile, and DevOps combined. So they have principles from lean, they have principles from agile, principles from systems integration, and all combined into the framework. Many organizations simply see, some of the organizations before, even now it is happening as a trend. Many organizations implemented pure play Agile. So now they're seeing the challenges right now. So they are actually converting themselves to lean Agile. Okay, so I'm working in some of the projects like that, where they see they implemented SAFe or other models, but they see the need for implementation of lean, especially at the principles and strategy planning and some of the practices as well. So that's where they actually started looking at implementing lean as well. So that's the trend that is going on. And all of you see the current trend of scaled agile frameworks and AI enablement. I think would have when I would have discussed in length in last session about AI enablement as the current trend, right? So this is just not only the history you need to understand, and you can understand how exactly over the decade the industry changed the different paradigm, while the TPS, the forts that were there a decade back, you can imagine a decade back, is still relevant. That's the power of lean we are talking about here. So it is very important for us to understand how we understand these practices in depth and how we embed or integrate these principles to your agile implementation is the key for success. Okay, so let's quickly spend a couple of slides here. So in terms of this, we discussed about two important terms, right? When we talk about lean, what is that? Value and waste, right? So let's discuss briefly in this slide what exactly value, what do we mean by value, okay? And how exactly what are different types of waste and how you can work on eliminating the waste. In lean, value is always defined by customer perspective, okay? So we define value as what the customer is willing to pay for. So this is as simple as that. Do all of you agree on that statement? The definition of value, I'm talking about in simple terms, what the customer is willing to pay. Do all of you agree on that? Any other definitions of value? You can type in chat. I'm not sure whether you can speak. Any one of you? Can all of you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, I can hear
Okay,
you.
okay, okay. So any definition of what is value? Or do you all agree with my statement that value is nothing but just what the customer is willing to pay for? Okay. Okay, so I think what Swaroop and Aparna mentioned here is aligns with that. So in simple terms, value is nothing but what the customer is willing to pay for. Everything else is a waste. Okay. Is that a correct statement? Is if something customer is not willing to pay is a waste I'm talking about. Is that correct? Is that correct? Okay. Yes. Yes. Leela, Venkat. Okay. Okay. So I have a contrary opinion here. Okay. So waste doesn't mean that it's completely useless, right? So waste doesn't mean that it's completely useless. Some kinds of waste obviously unavoidable, right? So that's where we talk about in value add and non-value add. If you look at the slide here, okay, value add and non-value add. Okay, so even in non-value add, there is certain activity, what we call it as necessary non-value add. Okay, can any of you take some examples of what could be necessary non-value add? Any examples? Necessary non-value add? Anyone? Okay, very good. Training. Can we completely avoid training? Obviously not. Okay. Sometimes the client may not be willing to pay for an additional training that we need to provide. Okay. Meetings. Okay. Okay. There are many examples we can talk about. So let's say in case of a banking, okay, so there is some regulatory reports that we need to generate. It may not be really revenue generating tasks, but at the same time, but we cannot avoid it. Is mandatory as per regulatory reports, the regulatory bodies within the country, right? So similarly, mandatory wait time to receive inputs, yes. Okay, so we need to differentiate between these two. So when we talk about value stream mapping, I'm not sure how many of you, I think we discussed this in my previous session, actually 1 year back, and this would have been definitely come up about value stream mapping. When you do a value stream map, one of the key advantages that we see is we clearly see what is value add and what is non-value add. When I say value add, it is from the customer perspective. See, when in lean, value is always defined by customer perspective. Okay, so we define value as what the customer is always willing to pay for, and everything else we talked about as a waste, right? So again, we need to look at non-value adding steps, especially in case of a value stream map. We need to distinguish between necessary and unnecessary non-value adding activities, right? Suppose we talk about testing and security, obviously. So these are sometimes may not be built, but they are definitely necessary value adding activities. So you need to look at the required activity, non-value add activity, and value add activity in at the split. And typically in the projects that I have seen, once we have done the value stream mapping for the process level, if you look at about 40 to 60%, as high as 60% is non-value add activity. It is eye revealing actually, if you really do with whatever process or initiative that you're working on. If you do a value stream mapping and identify value add, non-value add, again in non-value add, necessary non-value add, these three buckets, the non-value add activity is typically between 40 to 60% that you can definitely eliminate. Okay, so that's what you should, that's how actually one of the key process that I think some of you mentioned in lean we do is value stream mapping. That in turn will help identifying this distinguishing between the value add and non-value add. Okay, so another important term that we discussed about waste. So let me quickly cover, what are the different types of waste. Okay, so with the acronym Tim Woods, any of you heard about this? What are the different 8 different types of waste? The transport waste, right? The first one to start with. This is unnecessary movement of people, equipment, tools, and materials from one location to another. Okay, that could be handoffs within our world. If you look at in the IT world, handoffs between different businesses and companies. This is all comes under transport waste, right? And the second type of waste is inventory. Okay, making more than customer demand, making more than customer, it happens many times. We can easily identify this way, making more than customer demand, creating a sense of work in progress. Okay, so we do have, so not cleaning out of date information in certain cases, and spend time looking at right information, and we spend good amount of time. So all this can be definitely avoided. Okay, so that is inventory waste. Motion waste. See, this is how you can distinguish between different types of waste and bucket into category, and then try to mitigate, try to find out a plan how you can avoid that waste. We always think that defects are only the waste, right? Because there is some rework involved, because we are fed in from the beginning of our learning that, okay, so you should target reducing defects, but it is actually, there are a lot of other wastes also in the system, not only the defects. Okay. So the similar waste I'm talking about here. Suppose you talk about motion. Okay, unnecessary movement of people, equipment, tools, or materials within a location. Okay, so it could be multiple handoffs within the same company. It is not always in the case of manufacturing only. So this motion happens even in a IT world as well. Okay, so obviously the very common waste that we see is waiting. Right, this is the topmost, I would say, if you structure it, especially in the IT world, right, where we stop working because of some waiting and some input not provided. Over processing. Okay, so the next type of waste, processing beyond the required standard, is basically presenting the same information in multiple formats, for example, to capture the same audience. So that could be over processing and over production, okay, producing things quicker than customer demand. Suppose customer wants XYG in an MVP, but we provide XYG plus delta, right? To make customer happy, but it's actually a overproduction based. And they may not be customer really don't need that for an MVP. You would not wanted to see that. Maybe he has a different plan to defer that to a later part. But if we deliver that as part of MVP, he may not be really happy. While the objective is to make him make him or her happy, right? Defects, obviously, right? So this is one type of waste we all know, swelling and right first time, which requires correction. Another important waste that was added to these wastes recently is skills utilization. This is the most another important aspect that each of us should understand. This happens day in, day out in IT, especially failing to use the available skills and availabilities to their best applications. Okay, so it could be manpower, it could be any other resource that we have. So not used correctly. The skills utilization is definitely significant waste. So these are different types of waste as per the lean tools. We need to obviously understand when we talk about waste, what kind of waste it is. And the same steps can also be applied to even agile process. Okay, this is one of the methods I would definitely suggest even to each one of you. When we talk about integration of lean and agile, the first step that we need to do is draw a value stream map for your agile process. Okay, and try to understand what are the different types of waste, what is value add and non-value add, and again within non-value add, what are the different types of waste that we are occurring. Okay, so it could be even in the agile process, it could be too many meetings, or it could be waiting waste still exists even in the agile process. Okay, so you need to optimize if you want to really integrate lean, and we can talk about some of the tools as well down the line, but you can look at how you can integrate some of these into your while you actually study the agile process as well. Okay, so quickly about the 5 lean principles. Okay, so I think you would have heard about all these. This actually talked about when we explain about value stream mapping, we talk about these in detail. Okay, when you talk about the customer life cycle, identify value is the first one. So it is about defining customer's need, what exactly the need of the customer for a product or service. Understanding the customer needs and preferences, and then map the value stream. Okay, here this is where we look at how the entire flow of value from end to end. The value stream is the steps that we take to move from a product or service from the supplier to the customer. And then we have the next steps in terms of create flow. Okay, here we understand how the product or service that the customer needs flow through the processes. For instance, is it end to end or through a single process? Are there multiple process handoffs and across the processes? And the fourth step is obviously the establish flow. This is where creating flow through process where there is demand for it. Okay, this is where exactly we need to use that WIP limits we talk about, how you can establish the pull mechanism. Okay, this is very important when we are implementing lean. Okay, so basically it is always a pull in case of a lean. So we have to create that flow through process that where there is a demand, and this actually eliminates that some of the waste that we are talking about earlier, removing the over processing, reducing the over processing, and also removing inventory waste that we talked about. Obviously, it is more important, the quality built in. The strive for perfection is to systematically and continuously remove the root quality from the processes. Okay, so that again, we use the earlier slide about waste identification and optimizing it during the strive for perfection as well. So this is actually a part of a continuous improvement Kaizen cycle also we talk about. Okay, so now coming to the crux of the topic, in terms of how you can integrate lean and agile. Some of the suggestions as you see here. Okay, so lean agile we talk about. So we have these lean principles on the left. We have these agile principles on the agile values as you see on the right side, right? So this lean principles exactly maps to these four values that you see on the agile. Okay, so this is always direct alignment between these identify value, map the value stream. We understand what these five just we discussed before this. I'm not going in depth into the four values of agile that we all know: the individual and interactions over process and tools, working software, our comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following the plan. So these values directly aligns with the five lean principles on the left. Okay. These two together is actually what enables an organization, what we call faster, leaner, and safer. So the house of lean that you see in between, okay, this combines, you would have come across in some of the frameworks as well. So this combines the lean principles with agile practices. So particularly within the context of our software development. So this framework actually emphasizes continuous improvement, customer value, and also efficient delivery of high quality products. If you see the foundation, obviously is the lean agile mindset and lead agile leadership. This is where we talk about growth mindset and versus fixed mindset, which is very important concept. If some of you don't understand, I would definitely suggest reading fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Okay, so that's the bottom line for implementing lean agile. And embracing the principles of lean thinking and agile values and focusing on delivering value. These are all very much part of the lean agile mindset. Okay. Obviously, the roof, if you look at the goal is lean agile is to deliver value to customers. This involves understanding the customer needs, quickly responding to feedback, and delivering high quality products that actually solve the real problems. Okay, so there are a couple of other statements here to see. So the respect for people and culture is one of the pillars. So this empowering teams to take decisions and encouraging a culture of collaboration, respect, and trust. And obviously the flow. So that's another important pillar. So this actually optimizing sustainable value in our delivery and built-in quality processes that we need to incorporate. And also movement from, this is where we talk about the project to product kind of a process as well, right? When we talk about flow, and we need to use techniques such as Kanban boards, WIP limits, value stream mapping to optimize the flow. Innovation, this should be built in. Again, we support innovation and our people to be innovative. So this should be the ingredient culture for lean agile implementation. We make time and space for innovation. Now we go and see, that's what we call it as a Gemba in lean terms. Okay. Walk on the floor kind of concept from manufacturing, right? So that's actually is very much one of the key tools that we use as part of innovation. Experimentation and feedback, always room for experimentation and feedback. Pivot without mercy and guilt. Okay, so there are multiple tools we used as part of lean agile rollout hackathons. So we talk about IP iterations, if in case like safe innovation sprints and all that. So the other important pillar is relentless improvement. Okay, we need to create that burning platform for change. And this is where we talk about optimize the whole through iterative change process. So this is house of lean actually, all of you understand the crux of it. It actually combines the lean principles and agile principles into one pyramid with the goal of value optimization. Okay, so this is one framework. Okay, so if you look at when you talk practical ways of implementing, okay, this is one way you can integrate lean and agile. But this methodology, this framework I was showing here is being implemented in some of the initiatives in the current projects I'm working on. But this requires significant change in the way of working. Let's assume that you are working on a Scrum or Safe model. You want to implement lean in this model using this DMIC approach. DMIC approach you would have heard in Six Sigma, right? The define, measure, analyze, improve, and control model. Okay. If you want to implement this kind of framework, which actually imbibes all the lean concepts that we discussed and also the lean tools that we are going to talk about. Okay, but this requires significant change in the way of working. So it may not be the case for all the organizations, but if any new initiative or new project that you are starting and you want to implement lean agile from the beginning, this is one model you can look at. Okay. So because the lean DMIC delivery is completely revolves around lean. Okay. Okay, so the lean agile delivery framework that you see here, it's actually both best practices from lean and agile is taken. So define, measure, and analyze. Okay, as you see here, and iterative model like Scrum, then sprints, especially in the improve phase. There are multiple multiple sprint cycles iteratively for for the improve phase as part of improve phase in DMIC. Okay, that's how you can look at. So in this case, what we do in this model, what we do is in the define, we define what is the problem, who is the customer, what do we give them, what do they think about it. So this is what we define exactly in the initial phase. Like this actually maps to what the specific tools that we target to explain how you could define the problem in the define phase. When then comes the measure phase. Here you will try to find the gap between how we are currently performing versus what customers exactly wants us to be. This could be used for even improvement initiatives as well. So what is the current level of performance and what is the customer exactly wanted? So that is what actually measure. We gather a lot of data. Even in the analyze, we emphasize on what is causing that gap and how do you know what we should be doing it. So that's what the focus in analyze. Improve is actually where exactly we work on how do we close the gap, how do you know it's been closed, have we delivered value. This is where the kind of the execution phase of project that we talk about. And then obviously the control, this is where how do we make sure the gap closed is sustainable. Do we talk about further actions to make sure it is not repeated. Okay, so that's on the control phase that we look at certain tools. So this is one model where you can integrate your, so the same initiative that you're working in, let's say in Scrum or Safe models, you can definitely use this model where you can start with define, measure, analyze, and the improve is in different sprint cycles, and then obviously control very much integrated with the improve sprint cycles. Okay, this is one of the frameworks that I have seen very effective in case of new initiatives or new projects here. There is other ways you can look at, especially in some of these models where you talk about while now your agile model is continuing without any interruptions, you want to introduce certain practices, lean practices into your agile implementation. They wanted to make changes to the way of working using certain lean tools. Okay, so I'm not going in depth into each of these tools. That itself is a workshop, I would say. But this is how you can, we have done the mapping in terms of, okay, what is the event, the Scrum event, the Agile event that you can integrate, what tools you can integrate in case of how you can integrate that lean tool with the Agile event. Okay. So some of these tools, some of you may be familiar with these tools, some of you not. Okay, but I don't want to explain because we have limited time also. So I don't want to go into each of these tools. Suppose we talk about some of the key tools like Ocean Country. Ocean Country refers to This is more of a direction setting and a strategic methodology tool we use very actively. And this is where we define that, right? That OKRs, this is my goals, and this is how it is actually mapped to my features, user stories, and all that. So that's the entire metrics part of it, and the strategy planning part of it is actually Hoshin Kanri. And we talk about value stream mapping. All of you know, it's a mapping that entire value flow from starting to beginning. We say Kaizen is again, Kaizen is nothing but a Japanese term for continuous improvement, right? So in Kaizen, we talk about how you can improve continuously, employees, how you can involve in each of the initiatives. And we also talk about Deming cycle. If some of you remember, it's nothing but the PDCA cycle, right? Plan, do, check, act cycle, and also the waste reductions that we talk about. Okay, so these are different tools. So it's not some, definitely I'm sure so each of you would have come across these tools in one or the other area, but there is a proper structured process when you understand lean in depth. We exactly know how to do a 5S or I2 a root cause analysis properly in terms of following the structured approach that was defined way back. Okay, so all these tools, and suppose if you're doing daily scrum, so data analysis is an important aspect. So data analysis, we talk about specification limits, we understand data, and there are some tools available within the world of Lean and Six Sigma, which can be leveraged to make your daily scrums more effective. Gamba walks, we talk about go and see on the floor. Why don't we have a daily scrum on the floor and actually looking at the status immediately working on the screen. So that's kind of Gamba walks. Okay, Kaizen, you can obviously look at what is the waste reduction that you can do. So where exactly, so you need to always have this mindset of lean optimization. So earlier I talked about different kinds of waste. Whenever we are going through this process, whether it's sprint planning, sprint review, or PI planning, you need to have that mindset of how you can eliminate waste. What are the different types of waste? What waste I'm looking at here? Why can't I eliminate? Is it necessary value add, non-necessary value add? If it is non-necessary value add, is it necessary non-value add? Okay, so if it is non-avoidable, obviously you can't remove it. So then if it is definitely unnecessary non-value add, then you can definitely try to strike off that and come out of it. That will obviously help you optimize each of these your regular. This is the simplest way where you can identify some of the lean tools that you can integrate to your Agile implementation. There are a lot of other ways that I listed here. Some of you can look at value stream mapping at portfolio and program levels. Okay, so when you're doing the portfolio and PI planning level, so you obviously have to use a PI value stream mapping. So you were talking about, let's say, in case of operational value streams and development value streams that we talk about, right? So make sure that value stream mapping is done thoroughly at regular intervals, and any opportunity for elimination of waste. Okay, and okay, and the using lean spool system for managing work in progress, aligning PI objectives with lean value delivery. Some of these steps incorporate lean agile coaching. So this is a new trend that is happening, as I mentioned. Suppose certain organizations are hiring lean agile coaches, specifically assigning to key initiatives where they can not only focus on agile, but also on lean. It'll create a culture of continuous learning and involvement, introducing root cause analysis. This is the RCA, not at only IP iterations, but at the key problem solving that we have to do on continuously. Measuring flow efficiency, the throughput, the lead times that we talk about. So continuously, not only the agile metrics that we talk about, embed and integrate lean metrics. Okay, so these are some of these ways. I'm not going in depth into each of these ways, but we can talk about maybe definitely another session in terms of talking about some of these, how you can, in addition to the Scrum ceremonies that we discussed, how you can integrate some of the tools, but also some other ways we can integrate Lean and Agile. Okay. So let me stop here. I think we have very little time, but I can definitely take some questions and also any experiences any of you want to share. So, okay, RR, could you share this tag? Okay, so definitely, I think that there is a recording was done, so that will be shared, and excellent presentation. Thank you. Any other questions from any of you?
So
If
there
you
is a
could take
one question, Venkat. I think Shubhankar has posted what is end on. I'm not sure if it is a pronunciation or like maybe if you.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is again, I think it talks about, even I forgot exactly what is at this moment. It's something to do with, it's one of the lean tool. Actually, it is correct. The spelling, it is correct. It is one of the lean tool to actually talk about continuous improvement. And it is talks about, I think, end-on comes under the mistake proofing tools where we talk about eliminating errors.
Thank you. There is another question
So,
from Muhammad Majid Ali, how we can link Agile and Lean in development level.
yes, I think if you go in depth into each of these tools, definitely these can be integrated at the development process level also. Okay, so process level we talked about, the agile process or the scrum process. Definitely there is an opportunity. At the same time, some of these tools, like we're talking about mistake proofing tools, okay, Pokayo and kind of tools that we talk about. Okay, so these terminologies, if you understand, and actually the test first that we're talking about, let's say the DevOps process that we talked about. These are all came from Lean only. If you're already implementing this already in your development process, you're already doing it. Okay, so the continuous integration process we talk about, okay, continuous delivery and continuous integration. These are the processes that you need to look at. Obviously, these are the Lean processes. Okay, this is how you can integrate into development. But there are many ways actually.
Thanks, Venkat.
Okay,
The
so
next question, I see that maybe it is the last question. We are running out of time. Can you share examples of common challenges when integrating Lean with Agile and strategies to overcome them?
First thing, I think with any agile implementation, the mindset that we talk about, growth mindset, enabling that growth mindset, whether it is agile transformation and lean agile transformation, is the same. So that is one. And second important aspect when I talk about lean, so lean, most of the people think that it is something to do with manufacturing, not applicable to software development. That is completely wrong. As I mentioned already, how you can integrate lean tools effectively in software development process. There are many opportunities for us to optimize, because if you look at the current failures in agile transformations and agile projects implementation, we can definitely reduce and eliminate in certain cases using the lean tools. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Any
So there is one
other
question, I
questions?
think. Yeah. So could you kindly share the deck and recording at your convenience? I think for that, I think the recording will be uploaded into YouTube, so you can watch it later. We will share the link with all of you who have attended. And Venkata, can we share this presentation with all?
Presentation, I'll let you know, Sanket. I think there could be some copyright issues and all that, as it is LCS material. So I'll let you know on that.
Sure. I think that's a great opportunity. I think I was going through the deep examples, although I have been part of lean methodologies and I've been practicing, but many things to take away from this session. Thank you, Venkata, for a great detailed session. I think it's a master class, a lean master class, I would say. Maybe we need another 1 or 2 sessions more to understand fully, but it's a great opportunity for all of us. I'm sure all of us have taken a lot of things from here. The audience, you will be assigned with the PDUs because of your attendance to this session. And thank you for joining in and for your participation. And nonetheless, Venkata, again, thank you very much for attending and enlightening with us this
Sure. I think it's definitely an opportunity for me as well to interact with all of you. So you can reach out to me anytime, and many from the PMI world always obviously in touch with me. They know me very well. So you can reach out to me if you want to learn more about Lean and Agile implementation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Venkat. Thank you for taking for the session. Thank you very much.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Have a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.